I'm Kathy Johnson, and welcome to Town Talk. I have a guest with me today, Martin Early. It's going to be a very special show, a very relaxed, laid-back kind of show. Martin lives in the same town as I do, Oxford, Connecticut. Martin's a member of Cultural Arts in Oxford. As you can see, he has a prop with him today, but it's not just a prop. Yes, Martin actually plays guitar and sings. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today, the cultural arts, music, things that might be happening in Oxford with cultural arts. And he's also a member of the Land Trust with my husband, and we're both members of the Grange. So we're kind of about trying to keep Oxford country living. And this is all part of the culture of Oxford. So we're going to speak with Martin. I'm going to welcome you, Martin. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Martin, is there something you would like to have our TV audience know about you before we get into some of the other things? Your background, anything interesting about you?
Okay, I can run a quick, abbreviated biography.
Thank you.
When I started playing guitar when I was 9 years old, I took lessons from a jazz player in Waterbury, Connecticut, Johnny the Night Owl Knapp. Johnny passed away last year, and it was a shame to see that. But I worked with him for a couple years. One of the key things I really learned from him was how to play the guitar the wrong way. Now, this was not because he was a bad teacher. It's just at that time, tablature and things for playing guitar were not as advanced as they are today, and everything was either chord structures or melody lines. And what I did back in those days, the 60s and stuff, was I wanted to be a lead guitar player, Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
Clapton,
Oh, yes, one of the best.
That was what I was shooting for, and I said, please, I'd like to learn those things. So he would get me those music books. Those music books did not have the guitar tablature in them. What they had was the melody vocal line. So when I learned a Jimi Hendrix song, it wasn't the correct lead parts. I was playing what Jimmy was singing. I didn't know this. How would I know? I mean, I'm a young kid just starting out. It's like, well, okay, I guess that sort of sounds like the song.
Right.
Eventually I realized, no, this is wrong. And around that time I stopped taking lessons and just started listening more and saying, okay. But what that gave me was a sense of vocal melody. So now when I play leads, I think like a singer. I don't think like a guitar player, and I don't use your standard transcriptions or scales. I'm sure I'm playing them, but I couldn't tell you what they are.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you can do that without music, without the written notes and all. That this is how you play. You talked about a little bit about the early kind of sound, before they had the theory or whatever.
Right.
Can you just play a chord or two of that early sound? Do you know how to?
Oh, let's see. I'm trying to think. The very first thing I played was a sea shanty, and I played that in 4th grade. I believe it was just single notes and something like. And that's about how I played it too, all wrong bum notes. But I did this in front of an audience, and everybody was like, "Yes, you should be on Ed Sullivan." And it's like, no, I shouldn't. No, I shouldn't. Not at all. I shouldn't be opening the doors at the Ed Sullivan Theater.
So how long did you stay with that? What was his name again?
Johnny Knapp.
How long did you stay with Johnny Knapp?
I stayed with Johnny for about 2.5 to 3 years. I'd take the bus down to Waterbury every Saturday and go get my lesson, and that's it. I come back and practice my stuff over and over, even though it was the wrong way. The other thing that he did that probably helped me out, and I do look at the fingerings and stuff a lot. Well, I'd be practicing them and reading them off here and looking, and he would take a paper and go like this. So now I can't see my hands. So
Right.
It was so nerve-wracking. I mean, I don't know how I'm able to play at all.
You had to be disciplined, I guess.
Yes.
He was
What started me? Excuse me. But what started me on that too was, strangely enough, first musical influence I ever had was Trinidadian steel drums. I saw them in 4th grade, and the sound of it just said, I said, that's amazing. I don't think I can do that, and I don't think they even sell those things here, but it's an amazing sound. I remember the song was Yellow Bird.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then after that, I saw an acoustic guitar player, and it kind of shifted my thinking a little bit. Then shortly after that, on a trip to New York, I think I bought Jimi Hendrix's second album, Axis Bold Love, and that's it. I was sold
Hendrix
then.
really did it for you.
Yeah, just an amazing guitar player. And when you think of it in terms of race, which a lot of people, back then, we didn't think about that at all. All we knew is there's this amazing guitar player. 90% of the audience, if not more, was white kids. We were adoring this man. So to me, ever since then, I could never really get that distinction why people have such a hard time with blacks and vice versa. I could never understand race relations after that.
After that.
But at that point, it's like, there's no such thing.
It's like music brings you together.
It was very colorblind experience, I
Yeah.
guess, for me. And it helped so much because I was able to listen to so many different things after that. I continued, just to finish up my little bio, is
Sure.
years of being in bands, rock bands, and over and over and over doing that. Doing a lot of other people's material. In the 90s, it started to change a little bit. Actually, in the 80s, it changed, and I got into what would be called a punk band. We were enamored with a lot of the groups of that time, Sex Pistols, and because to me it was just straight up rock and roll. And
Oh,
I said,
yeah,
boy, that's easy too. It's just 2 or 3 chords,
Right.
and so much fun. And that's what I always looked for in it. I mean, I started playing overall due to a lot of a major tragedy in my family that kind of blanked me out for a year. And when I came out of it, this is where I went. I says, I've got to do something to keep that mind spinning in the right direction.
Right. So this occupied a lot of your time then.
Yes, at that time it did.
So now, where have you evolved to? Usually musicians, they start, as you described.
Yeah.
And so where are you today with your music?
Today it's a wide open palette. I can play virtually any style. I work in a jazz-influenced Miles Davis type of group called Outfunked, based out of Newtown, Connecticut. We do a lot of festivals and things of that nature
Right.
during the season, but
Right.
we're kind of on hiatus right now. And that's a very free-thinking type thing. Again, doing Miles Davis tunes, you'd better be somewhat of a free thinker.
I see.
So, and it's more about knowing what not to play than what to play. So it's always a learning experience when we do that stuff. My other group is more a progressive, I would just call it rock because it does rock. The music does move. It's got a beat. But it gets kind of strange at points too, and we move into a lot of improvisational territory.
Right.
My third solo gig is just me by myself doing electronics, and I do a lot of soundscaping is the word, where it's just all about background music. I just need something to sit behind something else. So consequently, I do a lot of art shows, things of that nature where not a lot's required of me. I'm not the standout thing. I'm just the guy that sits behind it. To me, it's modern dinner music.
Right, right. While people are looking at the art, you're playing a little something.
Yeah,
It
or
gives
in a restaurant or something.
gives you an atmosphere, yeah.
If you're in a restaurant, and, if I'm eating in a restaurant and somebody's out there belting out songs, I'm sorry, it doesn't work with me. I
No.
would rather be relaxed when I'm eating. So that's sort of the type of music I do.
What's a good restaurant sound?
In terms of...
How, like, do a little,
It's kind of hard because most of this is electronic that I do. Everything is like padded symphonic. I don't know how else to describe it, but even if I was to do something on guitar, it would be like...
Very nice, very
And
nice.
just things of that nature.
Very
in
quiet.
the background. I don't want to interrupt anybody's dinner or
Right.
take advantage of anybody's art.
Right.
That's an important thing to me because an art show is about the artist. I'm just there to provide a little background music so it's not dead silent.
Right,
And,
right.
and I do this all the time. I do it with the cultural arts at all our art shows.
Right. I remember when we attended one of the art shows there, and you were playing a bit. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's very relaxing, and I get lots of compliments on it from the people that attend. I think because I'm not blowing them away, and I'm not trying to.
Now, where can your band? What was the name of the band?
The other band is Outfunked. Yes.
Outfunked. Where does Outfunked usually play? Do they
we've done a few of the local bars and stuff around here up in Newtown, but mostly it's been like festival type oriented things.
Right, right.
And we'll get in with people like that. They're one-off jobs because a band like that is not what I would call an easy band to book.
Right.
When they say, well, what songs do you play? Like, well, I'm sorry, we can't name the top 40 songs that you may think we're going to play. All we can say is, well, we do a variation of this and a variation of that. And if you like that, you can book us. Most people that have booked us after the gig, they usually come up to us and say, we don't know what that was, but you melted our faces off.
Oh, wow, wow.
That's a good
That's a
compliment.
good, that's good, that's
I
good.
love that. I
So-
mean, and it's nice that people can't pinpoint it and say, oh, yes, you guys play that.
Well, you know, Martin, I really love the 50s beat.
Yes.
I love the Elvis Presley time.
Good stuff.
I love that.
This is when we
the
were
beginning
growing.
of rock and roll, and the doo-wop things and all that.
Yep.
That's I love that. But I also like. I was introduced by another guitar player that I worked with, and he collects guitars like they're his babies. He introduced me to Professor Longhair, and I was hooked on him. So, and what would you call his kind of music? Kind of like a New Orleans,
New Orleans, Boogie Woogie, Jelly Roll. I mean,
Jelly Roll, kind of like Fats Domino from
yeah,
years ago
yeah.
and all that. Yeah,
It's great, fun music. There's
Yeah.
so much joy in the playing of that. I mean, it's an aside of the blues, where the blues is a little more forlorn and sad, and what a terrible life I've had.
Yeah.
That's and there's a definite component for that in music, but that sort of music was a little more up tempo, a little more upbeat.
Oh, yeah,
dance,
yeah, yeah.
The old gin joints and stuff back in the day. I mean, they'd get together and they'd have somebody doing. I mean, so many artists came from that.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to pressure you in any way, but when you said, I remember a song written by John Fogerty, who part of his song, one of his new ones, was "Take It Down to Jelly Roll."
Oh, yeah.
And could you play a chord or two of Jelly Roll? Can you do that?
I can't really. I can't. I'll be honest and say I can't because
Is
when
that
it comes,
tough?
For me, it is. I mean, right now I'm at a disadvantage because I'm only playing with two fingers.
You hurt your hand.
Yeah. Well, when I grew up playing, again, my guitar instructor always taught me to play with the thumb, if you could see it, in
Yep.
the back of the neck, and it was always so uncomfortable for me. So it became this.
Right.
My thumb goes over, and I play things down here on these strings like that.
Isn't that
Consequently, I eliminated my little finger, which, as a guitar player, and most guitar players I know are going to hate me for that because you don't use your little finger. I can't. I can use it for chording and stuff, but to play a lead or something, no, never happens. These are the only three fingers I use. And the other disadvantage is I sliced the face of this finger off recently, so I won't be using that today either.
Well, and you know something, Martin, and of course today's the show, and you've
Of
got a
course.
bandaged finger.
Of
But
course.
I'm amazed that you can play the guitar with 2 or 3 fingers.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, I mean, I went through tragedy. I'll very quickly touch on that.
Yeah, let's
I
talk
lost my
about-
brother when I was 13 years old. He was a suicide.
Oh, that's terrible.
I was witness to all this stuff. So this is the sort of thing that, it blanked me out for a good year. I couldn't tell you.
It sure affects your life.
From age 13 to 14, there's nothing for me. The only thing I remember in that time is this. Just playing beats with my fingers, both hands, and I always did that. Consequently, I could do things like this.
That's amazing.
And that's kind of helped me a lot too. So all of it has, the good and the bad is what shapes you as a player, I think. It's never just a matter of like, well, I read every one of these books and I can read them. That's great. And I can appreciate it so much when an artist can do that. But
Well-
I cannot.
Well, that brings me to a song, and I can't think of the artist right now, but it must have been a real mean bottle that made you play that way. Remember that line in one of the songs that
Yes,
I'm
I
trying?
remember it. I can't think of it
Must
either,
have
but
been
I
a
heard
real
it.
mean bottle that made
back, yeah.
made him play that way.
Yes.
And I guess that's it. And
That's it. That's what shaped me as a player.
well,
anyways.
art and poetry, lots of times that comes. Great poetry, great art, great music comes out of suffering.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a strict believer in that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's ever just handed to you. I mean, it's amazing when they say, wow, he's got natural talent. And that's a true thing. But it's kind of rare. It really is kind of rare.
Natural talent is kind of rare.
These days, it's picking up because if you go on YouTube, you can see any number of young guitar players, And these are kids like 5 years old, 6 years old, sitting there. They're doing Eddie Van Halen licks and Hendrix and anything they
Yeah,
want.
that's a gift.
It is a gift, and it kind of comes from having musical backgrounds and hearing those things growing up.
Right.
Me growing up, like I say, it was limited back then to particular bands. I mean, when you get back to the early 60s, you look at maybe a handful of bands, let's say 150 bands in the entire world that were playing, that were known, that were getting their music on the radio and stuff, as opposed to today when there's got to be a couple million trying to do the same thing.
Oh, yes.
So the
Yes.
field has changed drastically. Music delivery systems have changed drastically, and it is a whole different world. It's not about buying albums or cassettes or CDs anymore. Everything's electronic, and it runs pros and cons to that all the way. But again, it doesn't take away from the enjoyment that I get.
Well,
And that's what it's all
well,
about.
it's good for the soul, I would say.
Sure it is.
It is.
Absolutely.
Well, I know that my son Richard started to play drums at 7, my older son.
Mm-hmm.
My son Robert, who's 18 months younger, started at 7 years old on the guitar.
Right.
And they graduated into heavy metal and death metal music
Yep.
at that time. And my home in Oxford, in the basement, because we had a lot of woods around us, was the place both bands practiced. And I used to spend weekends listening to heavy metal and that. Anything else you'd like us to know, Martin?
Well, there's a bunch of things. Being as I'm on the Oxford Cultural Arts Commission, we've got our FACE Festival coming up in May. FACE is the acronym, and it's Festival of Arts, Culture, and wait, is that right? Festival of Arts, Culture, and Entertainment. Yes, correct. And that spells FACE, and that's Oxford's FACE. So that's kind of how we like to put it out there. It's like, here's our face, and
That's
this is what we
wonderful.
do. Now, my own may not be that pretty, but the town's is.
No,
So-
I think you look like the guitar player you are. You're in character. And can you tell us where that's going to be?
It's usually held our Friday night. This year it's May 20th, 21st, 22nd. The Friday the 20th is our juried art show at the town hall, which we do every year. There are cash prizes, silent auctions, and it's been a growing thing over the past 5-6 years, and it's really taking off a lot more. We get more people every year now. There's more people entering, and it's just a fantastic show. I usually play at that and usually have other townspeople come in and do some things too. This
Right.
year we're going to have a couple of cool surprises. For
I can't wait.
The Saturday is usually focused more on musical acts, and
Mm-hmm.
I get friends of mine that will either are available and can come down. This year, and I'm not going to say for sure yet because we're still working on it. Maybe by the time this airs, it will come out that we're having the Claudettes from Chicago come down. They are a boogie woogie type of oriented group, piano and drums, and the best way to describe them, and vocals. I'm sorry, Yana, I know if she sees this, she'll kill me. Yana sings more like in a French chanteuse type style, whereas the music is like a combination of John Bonham on drums and Little Richard on piano.
Wow.
And it's straight up boogie woogie. Fantastic show. They come here every year. They stay over my house. And anyways, I talked to them recently, and we're working on it.
I can't wait to see that. You know, a little town like Oxford of about 14,000 people, and we have culture there.
Yeah.
We have culture. We have
Absolutely.
country living. We have modern type of things going on. We have culture. It's really,
Yeah, and why shouldn't we have it? I
why
mean,
shouldn't we have it? That's right.
That was one of the reasons I got on the commission in the first place was, I'm tired of having to drive to New Haven or Hartford, or we're still drive into the city to see a band or a show. Or something. Why can't I see them around here? Why can't we have something? I'm not saying we're going to be a hub or anything like that, but I look at little places like Infinity Music Hall and stuff. They're way out in the woods, yet they get the top artists in the world.
They get
from
the
down
top
the lake.
artists.
Why can't we do that?
Now, for all these events in Oxford, because people watching the show are probably not going to remember, or they're going to tune in the middle. If occasionally we should mention, is there places like online they can see, or
Yes.
advertising somewhere?
Yes, there is. We have our website for the Arts Commission. It's www.oxfordculturalarts.org. You can go there and find out about all our monthly art showings, about our open mics, which I run. That's another thing we'll get to. Pretty soon we'll have some previews of the Face Festival coming up. And we're still working on our theatrical group, the 9 Mile Players. As of this point, we don't have anybody right now, but it's still there. It's still ours, and we're going to work with it. And we're working more on the idea of making it community theater. In a lot of the community theaters, and I've got nothing against them all. I love them all. Phoenix Players, Goshen Players, fantastic groups and stuff like that. And they work along the same lines, but again, a lot of it could be more community oriented, where the expectations are maybe set lower, just to get more people to come in and try things with us. Our most recent one was on Halloween. We showed the 1910 silent film Frankenstein by Thomas Edison Studios. I played the music to it. Meanwhile, we handed out a couple microphones to the audience members and said, "You guys do the dialogue." And they were just making the funniest things.
Oh, that had
my
to be
God.
the
We
most
laughed.
fun.
We laughed so hard through the whole thing.
So,
And that was great. And the other part of that was for the audience members that didn't want to actually participate. I says, you don't have to get up and go to the mic, but if you sit there and if you see something on the screen, words, captions, anything, we need you to say those. Yell them out loud. As soon as the thing started, the camera has a little focus type thing, and it says focus right here. That's the first thing I heard. Focus, everybody yelling. Or copyright 1910.
Oh, no,
That's
they were
exactly-
already.
We
that-
wanted them to do
Oh, my
that.
goodness.
We wanted them to do that. So to me, they were officially 9 Mile Players at that point. It's like, see, you participated. You didn't even know it.
What fun.
And that's the sort of stuff we're trying to do is get more people involved on that level. I'm working on what I'm going to call an operetta myself, and it's been in the works for about a year and a half, and it may take me another 10 to get it finished. But I work on it a lot, and that's something I would like to present to the town too. I think it's a great story and deserves to be told, whether in musical form or just spoken. But we won't get into that now because we'll need more than an hour.
Well, I know. So you have an idea of a topic for that, no?
Oh yeah, that's set. Actually, I have most of the music written right now, and I'll tell you the subject matter is Nadja Popov. Nadja Popov was a fighter pilot in World War II, near not quite the end of the war, but as the Germans were advancing into Russia, she was Russian, and she became one of the first female squadron leaders.
No.
A fighter pilot.
Wow.
They flew these tiny little planes. They're pretty much, they used to drop the mail. That was their only job. Stalin said, no, women, not in the war, not happening. So they would drop the mail to people on the field and stuff and fly in low with their little, I forget what they were, Kalashnikovs or something. But,
Yeah.
Small planes, canvas and plywood, not much to them, and they would drop them off. Anyways, that turned into a thing where, okay, we want women in the war now. So you guys got to go out, and what you got to do is harass the Germans all night long. That was their job. Don't let them sleep. So they'd come, they would drop trash, they would drop bombs, they would drop anything they could to keep them up all night long. The Germans were scared deathless of them because they would hear them coming. And what they would do, here's the thing that threw me, and I says, I have to write something about this, is they'd fly these little planes in at night. This isn't radar time where you could see where you're going. They're flying visual at night over enemy lines into the German encampments, dropping their stuff. And what they would do is they'd cut their engines. And now they'd fly in over the treetops. They'd brush the treetops, and it would make a whooshing noise.
Oh, my
The
God.
Germans equated that with a broomstick, like a witch. So they got the name the Night Witches. That was the unofficial
the
name of the
Night
squadron,
Witches.
the Night Witches. That's the name of my operetta, too. And that struck me so hard. I said, they did this. Now, here's the real kicker. Nadja herself, as a squadron leader, when she became squadron leader, flew 800 and, I won't get it right, but about 840 sorties. That's, I don't know how many times a night that she was flying and doing these things. She had been shot down at least 2 or 3 times, escaped without major injury. And she married her sweetheart, who she met on the battlefield. And I think one of her co-pilots in the planes said, Nadja, you're going to live to be an old woman. She said, nah, I'll never make it through the war. She died a couple years ago at age 92 in New York.
Really?
She won like every kind of medal you can imagine from the Soviet Union and stuff since then. And just an amazing person with, right from the get-go, when she was a little girl, said, I want to be up there. I want to fly those planes. She saw a guy once, he parachuted into their farmyard, and from that point on, she was sold on it, and she followed it through the rest of her life. She ended up becoming a teacher after the war, a flight instructor, and she kept doing that for a long time until the 80s, I believe, something like
Very,
that.
very interesting story, something I'd never heard of. I heard about our women pilots
Yes,
in the United States, but never knew about the Russian. Of course, they were our allies in the
Oh,
war,
yeah,
too.
absolutely.
And it looks like, I don't know whether we'll call them our allies now, but it's coming close. We're on
talking.
We're talking, and looks like we're in a piecemeal war right now.
Yes, oh yes.
So, well, anyway, so this is so interesting, and
glad.
so much that you. I've been so busy with the last campaign in Oxford that I haven't had a chance to go. But you're making me very excited about going to some of the cultural arts events and all. And the open mic and all is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, what else do we?
I'll just finish up by saying on our Face Festival, the Friday I said was the juried art show. The Saturday is musical events. The Sunday we usually do poetry events and spoken word stuff. And last year we had just some amazing people came down from out of state, fantastic poets, published poets that are really amazing. And we're going to do the same thing again this year. I've already started that in the works. The other things we do is the open mics. That's every month. We do them on the second Monday of every month. We usually start around 6:30. We have a sign-up sheet and everything, and we usually run to about 9. We provide refreshments. I host it and bring a PA down, and we just let it roll from there. Unlike a lot of other open mics, probably because we're not so crowded, we allow a lot of time for individuals. So if you've got 15, 20 minutes of songs, you're going to have time to play them. And if you don't, we'll extend it. We'll go to 9, 10, 11 o'clock. I don't care, as long as people are there and having a good time. then-
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Right. And I guess that's another thing is, as a Grange member too, a big goal has been to keep that Grange building open. It's a centerpiece in town. It always has been. It needs to be used more.
Well, it does, and I was very proud to have my campaign headquarters for this last
Absolutely.
election
It's a
there.
beautiful building.
It's the coveted place to have headquarters, centrally located.
Absolutely.
And also, too, it has such a historical value.
Yep.
1921, I think it
Yes,
was
I believe
built,
that was it.
something like that. And it's really a historical building in town, and it's got a beautiful stage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful there.
Well,
The
we've been
room is-
working on it now for the past year. I mean, sewing the curtain and stuff like that.
Well, that's
but
right.
that's what we try to do. Keep it clean, spruce it up a little bit. We've been painting, and the whole idea is to turn it into more of a centerpiece in town. Well, I won't get into that aspect of it, but we are trying to build it up from what it was. I mean, it's an old building,
Yes.
so it has its flaws, but we're trying to get it back together, and there's a lot of support for it. So we're moving along slowly but surely.
I'd like to work on. I'd like to talk to my other selectmen on the board, and I'd like to talk to Selectman Jeff Haney. I'd like to see you get the handicap ramp over at that
we would
building.
love to have that.
I think that's something that Jeff could turn his sights on, and somehow zoning can get around the fact that you don't have the property there, because I understand it was given to the ambulance so
Right.
that they could have the room, and
Right.
then when we needed the ramp, it couldn't be done. But I think that that's something we should look at.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I know a lot of people want to get into the Grange, they want to do things there.
And
but
unfortunately, a lot of people are stuck in a wheelchair too, and
they
cannot
can't
get
make those
in.
stairs, they can't get in. They need the
So
ramp.
we need that desperately.
They
I
need
know
a
there's
ramp.
people that are starving for that. So
Yeah.
it's a big goal with us. We're looking at grants and stuff too. So
Well, that's good.
hopefully, as soon as we can, we'll get that going.
Good. Well, that's great. So, want to play a song for us?
Sure, I'd be happy
You
to.
want to talk about some of the songs you're going to play? or-
Okay, like I said, I can't do too many. I had to resort to an open tuning.
That's okay.
Because the hands are just not going to
No,
cooperate.
but here you are anyway.
Yep. Yeah. And again, a few surgeries make it a little difficult, a little painful, but I guess this is my motto with playing, and has been for quite some time. I say it to a lot of people. I'm a boxing fan. I always was. I'm not a big fan of ultimate fighting and all that. That's wonderful stuff for some people, but you know, boxing to me is a skill. It's a point skill. It's a judge skill. It's not just being a brute. Granted, there are plenty of brutes.
Right.
Mike Tyson having been one of them. But before Mike Tyson was really reviled, I think he's back to being a pretty well-liked person these days.
Yeah, he's made
turned it around.
Yeah.
But before that, when he first started, his manager was Cus D'Amato, and Cus always told him one specific thing every time he got in the ring. He says, Michael, when you fight with bad intentions. Now, he didn't mean that. It may sound like that's an evil sort of thing. It's not. It was like, you fight like you mean it. It's just another way of saying it. But that always stuck in my head. And it's like, you play with bad intentions. And because of that, I'm a very physical player. I break a lot of guitars. I cut myself.
Before there was the Who, there was you.
I cut my hands open quite often. I mean, but that's part of it. That's part of it because it's all about the passion, and that's what I try to transfer across.
That's right.
So.
You have to be part of the instrument, part of what you're doing.
So anyways, I've been talking so much now that I probably won't be able to sing, but give it a try anyways.
Well, you have some water there
yes.
if you need it.
All
All
and,
right.
I'll start with what most people consider a Led Zeppelin song, and that's When the Levee Breaks. And a quick history on that is it's a Memphis Minnie song and Kansas Joe McCoy. They were husband and wife back in 1929. There was the Great Mississippi Flood, which flooded out Greenville and pretty much put the place underwater. The other term for that period is the Great Migration, because everybody that lived down there had to move.
Oh, wow.
You couldn't live there anymore. Where are you going to go? So a lot of people went up to Chicago, but there wasn't a lot of work in Chicago. And there you go. That's pretty much the basic history of the song. I don't play the original way they played it was like a 3-chord blues type of thing, and it was very simple and almost kind of a happy sounding feel to it, although it had that Delta blues type of feel at the same time. Zeppelin took it and they ripped it apart and put it back together in a very heavy way, and that was wonderful and stuff too. That's the first version I ever heard, but I had to go hear the original. And from the original, I came into this, and this is When the Levee Breaks. If it keeps on raining, levee's gonna break. If it keep on raining, levee gonna break. Levee breaks, I have no place to stay. Mean old levee taught me to weep and moan. Mean old levee taught me to weep and moan. Ooh, it's got what it takes to make a mountain man leave his home. Oh well, oh well, oh well. If it make you feel bad when you're trying to find your way, oh man, you don't know which way to go. You're going down south, they got no work to do if they don't know about Chicago. Whoa. won't help you. Praying won't do you no good. Crying won't help you. Praying won't do you no good. When the levee breaks, and mama, you gotta move. Out last night, sat on the levee and moaned. Out last night, sat on the levee and moaned. Thinking about my baby and my happy home. Only make you feel bad when you're trying to find your way home and you don't know which way to go. Like going down south, they got no work to do if you don't know about Chicago. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Bravo. Very nice. Very nice. You know what I was thinking of when you were playing?
Yeah.
How before there were electric guitars, this was what we had.
All it was.
This is where blues in the 50s started out on, huh?
Hey, B.B. King started with a string on a nail on his front porch.
A string.
Hammered onto the post
Wow.
on the porch.
Wow.
You put up a little nail, put a string, put another nail, tied it. Bing, 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 bing.
What a beautiful sound that guitar has.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
It's been kicked around a bit.
It's been kicked around. It sounds beautifully. Like many guitar players, I suppose you have like more than one guitar.
It's strangely enough, I've got two electrics and this, and I have a little ukulele signed by a ukulele master. Oh God, I can't think of his name. Anyways,
Not Tiny
Jake.
Tim.
Jake.
Jake.
Jake Shimabukuro, a Japanese guy. This cat, if you look him up on YouTube, you can watch him play Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen on a ukulele, and it's just unbelievable.
On a ukulele.
Every single part. He got it nailed. I went to see him a couple years ago for our 40th anniversary, and he signed my uke and stuff. So that was a great pleasure.
Oh,
This is the case of these young kids that they just blow my mind is all I can say.
Well, that was wonderful. And considering, and I would have never known you're using, two fingers did all that.
Well, I practiced a little bit. I won't lie.
You won't lie.
I says I know I can't go about this the normal way, so
So
see
you
what I can
had
do.
you had to improvise here.
Yeah, so if I mess up, that's again, I don't care as long as I'm getting some of that sound in my head, you know.
So, I guess this like band that you describe, it's like a semi-jazz, or you.
Yeah, we have at least sometimes two horn players, mostly one trumpet, and it works basically off of improvisation. Sometimes we'll take a little bit of somebody's music, like Miles Davis. We do Bitches Brew, which is like 20 some odd minutes long or something.
Wow.
But we'll start with the main theme of that, and then just let it go. Let it go completely. Maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe we won't. The whole idea is to explore at that point. And when you got like 5 individual musicians doing stuff, it's kind of neat, the interplay, because the idea here, like I say, is not to overplay. So many groups, improvisation, let me make a note about the word improvisation.
Right.
So many people, and you've heard the word jam bands 1,000 times. Jam bands to me basically encompass a whole group of people. They're great players, they play songs, and then they play very long lead guitar solos, which I'm sorry, the more I hear, the longer the guitar solo, the more my eyes start to close.
Right,
It's
no
like, I've
matter
heard all
how
this
good
music.
it is.
I've heard Hendrix, I've heard all the, there's not much that people can do to totally impress me these days. So at that point, I started thinking on the opposite end of the scale, saying, well, what if you play less? And you talk to any real top pro musician, and they're always going to say it's the notes you don't play that count. They really are, because that fills in the gap to the listener. The listener will put it in there. I don't know how many songs I listen to where I go, oh my, listen to that harmonica. And then I find out later, there was no harmonica. It's not there. But it's insinuated by everything, by all the other sounds and vibrations and frequencies.
What's going on, yeah.
So that's the coolest music to me, is improv music. You just can't beat stuff that comes off the top of your head.
Yeah, yeah. Like, for instance, now, thinking about the kind of sound your band has, can you do a little chord or two, a little sound or two on the guitar that would remind me?
I wish I could, only because the only reason I really can't is because I don't do any acoustic in that group at all. It's all totally electronic.
Electric. Oh,
And,
okay.
most of the electronic sounds and stuff that I work with are processed through a million different boxes, so that ends up sounding not like a guitar at all.
It sounds very different.
I should mention I have another group. It's a duo, really. We're trying to expand it at this point, and it's totally electronic. We've played out a few gigs which were pretty monumental. We really enjoyed ourselves. That group is called the Hadron Big Bangers, and it has, I know there's maybe connotations to that people would see, but it's not like that. It's more to do with the science and the super collider, and we base a lot of it on a futurist type of mentality, I guess, in terms of our lyrics, in terms of where the music goes. And that is a combination of straight up riffs and total improvisation.
Wow.
And we managed to glue the two of them together, so
Wow.
it's really, really neat stuff. I'm hoping to maybe perform that around here sometime in the spring, maybe. I think we might. let
that
go.
sounds great.
We're doing our second album right now. We're in the middle of just starting to mix it, but with the holidays, of course, it takes longer to get these things done. But it's okay. We're not rushing. We're trying to get it right. So.
Well, that's good. You're really doing a lot in Oxford and around, and I really am looking forward to that sound that you were describing. This say that band again. That
Outfunked?
Yeah, yes,
The jazz group?
yeah, and also the one that you're hoping comes
Oh, the Claudettes.
the Claudettes.
I'm just hoping dearly that he wouldn't ask me. He just asked me last night. I haven't heard back from him, but I gave him the specifics, and I should be hearing from him sometime soon. So what they usually do is come into New Haven for a gig. So my suggestion was, why don't you come early? They always stay at my house, so it's like, come early, stay here. You can play down here in the afternoon, then you can go down to Cafe 9 in New Haven and play a
Right,
second. They do
right.
a lot of 2-3 gigs a day. They just got off of a huge festival thing. And Johnny himself, he was in his blues band, and they were out in Paris. They had a gig in Paris after the day of that shooting and the explosions and the terrorist stuff and everything. So they were outside of Paris and found that they really couldn't get back in, so they had to cancel the rest of the tour, and they came back home. And that was a straight-up blues type thing. They're on their second Grammy-nominated album, I think, this year, Chicago Blues History. Living Blues, I believe, is the name of it, and you can find that online, too. And it's great because it encompasses very early blues from the 30s, and they just said, let's open it all the way up to the present, to the young players that are out there now. So the first album encompassed that. The second album is pretty much an expansion of that, too. And it's really great because it's all centers on the Chicago blues and the lower Delta blues musicians.
Is that where blues really made its peak in Chicago?
Yeah, that's where I think it really achieved the most popularity.
Was when it hit Chicago.
Yeah. And I think, as I was saying, I was just listening to some old stuff the other day, and one of the first songs you learn as a guitar player is Louie Louie.
Oh,
3 chords, simple.
who can not remember Belushi?
Right. Oh, God.
Yeah, in Animal. But Louie Louie, Wayne and I grew up with that song.
Sure.
Of course, to us, the one we grew up with in the early 60s, maybe late 50s.
That's the Kingsmen there.
Yeah, was the one we knew, but from what you had said to me, this song goes way back.
Well, the song's written by Richard Berry. His group was the Pharaohs. If you look it up online, you'll see that Pharaohs is spelled wrong, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
I just get a kick out of grammar stuff. So, anyways, Richard Berry wrote it back then. No relation to Chuck Berry. But they wrote it back then, and I says, well, let me call this up, because I never heard it before. And I called it, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's the same as the version you've heard, but the lyrics are incredibly clear. The harmonies are just mind-bogglingly good. I mean, I can't stop listening to it now. Now, I'm not going to do that right now, but I have just a little version of it that I put together myself the other night. And I says, well, let's see if I can do this.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. I'd love to hear that.
Well, here we go.
All right.
Me gotta go now. Me gotta go now. Fine little girl, she waits for me. Me catch the ship for across the sea. I sail the ship all alone. I never think I'll make it home. Me gotta go now. Me gotta go now. 3 nights and days, me sail the sea. Me think of girl constantly on the ship. I dream she there. I smell the rose in her hair. Me gotta go now. Me gotta go now. We see Jamaica, moon above. It won't be long, we see me love. I take her in my arms and then I tell her I never leave again. No, 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 me gotta go now. We gotta go now.
Martin, that was the first time I knew what the words of that song
Most
said.
people don't know.
And what I want to say to you is this, because the light is in my eyes, I see that our time is coming to the end.
Okay.
So what I want to do is ask you to play the third song
Okay,
right off the
we'll
bat.
get right onto it.
And then if we have a little bit of time, quickly say one more time about when the next cultural arts event is.
Will do.
but let's go with it.
Okay.
All right.
This one, an old Clapton song with Blind Faith, Can't Find My Way Home. And again, open tunings, 2 fingers, got to change it, do it a little different. So here it is. Come down off your throne and leave your body alone. Somebody must change. You are the reason I've been waiting oh so long. Somebody holds the key. But I'm near the end, and I just can't find the time. And I'm waiting, and I can't find my way home. Come down on your own and leave your body alone. Somebody must change. You are the reason I've been waiting all these years. Somebody holds the key. Somebody holds the key. But I'm near the end, and I just ain't got the time. Well, I'm wasted and I can't find my way home. Still I'm wasted and I can't find my way home. And I ain't done nothing wrong. No, I haven't, but I'm wasted and I can't find my way home.
That was wonderful. And you know what? You played it like you meant it. I see you broke a pick. That means that just like a soprano breaks a glass, you broke the pick.
I said I'm a hard player. I mean,
No, Martin, that was great.
Thank you.
Let's see. We have a little more time than I thought. We've got a whole 2 minutes.
okay, we can work on it.
We've got a wonderful time here. I just couldn't see the numbers that my son is the assistant, Robert Johnson, my husband, the producer, Wayne Johnson, and then on sound is Floatin' Fred.
Yes.
And I got
Great job, everybody.
Yeah, great job back there. If you want to run down again something about the cultural arts, what's happening, a quick rundown, and we'll sign off.
Okay, again, our Face Festival is in May 2016. It's the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's pretty varied. We have the art show on Friday, musical events on Saturday. This year, hopefully, fingers crossed, the Claudettes, you're going to love them. You got to come out and see them. Sunday is poetry events all day and probably a few other things, maybe some art things going on. We did that last year. If you noticed around town, you see a lot of signs with just paintings and pictures on them. They're all around it.
Yes.
That was done by our group last year at the
Oh,
Face Festival.
yes.
A lot of kids put those together.
Yes,
We
that's-
just started putting them all over town.
Oh, you should. You should. It makes the town look. It was so thrilling, and with the cupcake in front of the
yeah.
in front of the new bakery.
They
that's
really
coming in.
appreciated that, too,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah, that's wonderful.
We like to work with all the businesses in town as far on those levels too. It's like, yeah, pretty things up a little bit.
Well, it does, and you know, I'm thrilled to have you here, Martin. This was one of my most fun shows I've ever done.
Thank you. I'd be glad
and
to
I
come back again too.
Oh, we'll have you back often as you want. I'm always looking for people to be on the show. It's a small show, Town Talk, and we're going to wrap up, I see.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert. I'm going to say to everyone out there, have a good day and a better tomorrow. This is Kathy Johnson and Martin Early saying goodbye from Town Talk. Take